Palisade Radio is brought to you by First Majestic Silver Corp, one of the world's purest and fastest growing silver mining companies.
Welcome back to another episode of Palisade Radio. This is your host, Colin Cattell. On the show with us today is Denis Laviolette. He's a geologist. He's new to the program. Just a little background on Denis. He's worked with some major companies, including Kirkland Lake, Lakeshore Gold, Gold Corp, Extra Gold. He then moved over to the capital market side of the business with Pine Tree Capital, and he's now been doing quite a bit of work with us here at Palisade Global. Denis, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Colin. Happy to be here.
We were having a discussion over the last couple days, just talking about all of the consolidation that we've seen in the sector. The junior market and the gold market as a whole is a cyclical business, but each cycle as they come and go differs slightly, and there's things to look for. And you had identified to me the other day how much consolidation you've seen. A lot of the primo projects have been picked up by majors or larger companies, leaving a bit of a vacuum for smaller companies to come in and make new discoveries. Can we start off by just talking about what you've seen with a lot of the consolidation going on?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of names that we used to watch. I think, back at Pine Tree when, things were still kind of weaning down and we were looking at production profiles and PA stage projects and stuff. And, there's a lot of those companies are gone now. I mean, you had Gold Canyon, you had, Carlisle Gold, Mega Precious, some of those kind of projects, just name a few. But basically, slowly but surely, we saw these projects get gobbled up. And now that, sentiment's changing and things are improving, a lot of everybody's looking to, sort of the next bracket outside of the majors to invest and play the cycle, or what's seemingly like an up and coming cycle here. But basically, a lot of that's gone. Same thing in the junior space. Actually, tons of blood's been spilt in the junior explorer space. I mean, we've got tons of those companies are now weed companies, and a lot of those assets are nowhere to be found. A lot of those claims have been dropped, et cetera, et cetera. Overall, basically, yeah, that's what I've been noticing anyway, at least. And there is some great stuff out there. There's still a lot of companies that have survived. They may not been the sweetheart names that people thought in the boom or in the last cycle at the tail end. There's a lot of those names that are gone now, but there's a lot of kind of sleeper names that sort of were able to keep the wheels on the bus and get a little bit of work done, and have a great story coming back into this market. So I guess to talk on that. We've been seeing some stuff. There's a few players in West Africa that have some good stuff that are coming back into this. With strong targets, a lot of grassroots, a lot of reconnaissance work has been done. The cheap stuff. These are really things that unlock value on projects and really help to guide drilling. So there's going to be a lot of companies ready to sandbag some projects and put out some nice numbers. So I think it's a good chance to kind of keep our eyes peeled for the newsreel and see what people are doing, and jump on some of these names, because there's lots of good ones out there. But I'm sure we're going to see tons sprout up. Lots of these projects that were gone and were actually worth quite a bit of money back in the 2010, 2011 sort of area, and they'll be back. So.
Well, yeah, there's just so many factors that go into the changing of the cycle. Of course, you have the cycle itself, which at a certain point when things get oversold enough, money comes in, contrarian money, and things turn around. That's probably one of the major driving factors on this bear market, where we had a full 5 years of depressed markets. You then have the commodities. Certain things, if a commodity starts to move up, that's going to start to lift the market. And then you have factors in individual bull markets, such as a lot of the companies, a lot of the good assets are already taken, and majors always need to replace ounces in the ground. And we've just had such a traumatic past 4 or 5 years that, like you said, a lot of things have been wiped out. Companies have even shifted their attention to other sectors like medical marijuana. And now that money's coming back in, you're seeing what looks like a tremendous movements in some of these small stocks. Some of them are up 100, 200, 300%. And yet that's really a very small movement off the bottom. So my next question for you is, what are you looking for, or what should investors look for, coming from a background in geology? There's a lot of semi-advanced projects. What do you look for to invest in that might be the next takeover target, but something still quite a far away from that, so there's a lot of value to be created for investors coming in now?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, you got to look at it from a financial perspective. I think you want to look at companies that, their management teams are able to conserve capital and deploy that capital in the ground, and have shown a track record for that. I mean, obviously in the last, in the last cycle, as we say, there's a lot of greedy executives and sort of misguided management teams that were sort of throwing money frivolously and at these projects, and wildcat drilling everything. And there was a lot of teams that really took their time and did their homework, and soil sampling and trenching and whatever sort of low hanging fruit they could do before going and throwing the big bucks behind a drill to sort of tackle these projects. So I oftentimes, when I look at these things, I like to talk to the management teams, or at least get a sense of what they're all about. I like to look at the burn rate. A lot of these little junior companies, like, what are their overheads? Do they have massive offices that they don't need right now? I don't want to see somebody that's burning $60,000-$70,000 a month just in corporate G&A. And I could just imagine that if we're going to bolt on a camp somewhere in whether it's a foreign country or whether it's here, or who knows, right? But I could just imagine if they have a big elaborate camp, etc., a couple of drills turning, they're going to be burning $200,000-$400,000 a month. Obviously, we're not seeing $10 million, $15 million private placements closing for junior explorers right now. So I want to see teams that are capable of using small amounts of money, $2-3 million, and really unlock value with that. Like, is there blue sky? That's something important to me when I'm looking at a project. Is there size potential? Is there blue skies or targets? What kind of story have they hobbled together? I mean, this story is super, super important right now. Not only just to help propel the market, I think, the junior market, and get some more investment dollars into it. I mean, I want people telling good stories, but look at the story, see if they have something there, if they've have some kind of tested theories, or something that they've worked on for the past few years, kind of grinded through. Yep, they're pretty sure this is there. Or this would be a good thing to test, and they've got the capital, they have the capability of getting the capital to do so. I mean, are we talking about drilling 1,000-meter hole, or 1,000-meter holes, or 800-meter holes, or something, and to try to get down to some big, massive geophysical target? No, I think those ones, you kind of got to be careful with those. But if they have a whole bunch of soil grading that they've done, soil sampling that they've done, and some nice geochemical anomalies as a result of that, and outside of what they've previously explored, that they're looking to potentially check out, and maybe the first time around they had 500,000 ounces or less, and right away from the footprint of these geochemical targets or whatever else that they've done, you can see a chance that they can really unlock something here. So I think exploration's a funny business. I mean, it's never a sure thing, but you just want to see it's a combination of the teams, it's a combination of the financial I guess state of that company, and also the project itself. Is it big enough to be worth it? Is it has all of their hard work yielded some sort of target that's worth looking after? That to me is the exciting part of this business, and it makes investing a lot more fun because it's less of a crapshoot, and you actually get to see the story unfold. And if your favorite target gets drilled and nothing comes out of it, well, maybe it's time to walk away from that one. And a lot of people last time didn't do that. I mean, they over promoted these things, and oftentimes too, companies didn't want to test these things, test these targets. They wanted to save them. They didn't want to kill the project. So, I mean, I guess I'm rambling on a little bit about this, but ultimately, I mean, I look at all these things. It's a combination of all the factors, and when evaluating a junior explorer, it's a risky business, and it's all about the teams. It's all about the people, the projects, what they've done, what they're like. Are they the type that roll up their sleeves, get into it, get passionate about a project, or are they the type that doesn't really care? They just want to raise, $10-15 million and go hog wild drilling and have a nice big office and all that. So.
Well, we started a wildly successful series called Palisade Mine Tours via Palisade Research, palisade-research.com. And Denny, you've been helping out with that, doing some of the site visits, putting together some of the stories. The first one that we did was on a company called Canark Resources, which good timing for us on that. They just had their project acquired, in fact, last week by Endeavour Silver. You also made your way down to Paraguay for Latin American minerals, and more recently, a great company called Northern Vertex, which is based near Las Vegas, actually in Arizona. Talk to us. Maybe let's talk quickly just about Northern Vertex, because you were just out there. They have a nice sized deposit, but it's a little small. Talk to us about the upside potential on something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good example. I mean, Northern Vertex, a lot of people, quickly dismissed the project as, it wasn't big enough. It had a few 100,000 ounces at, a fairly modest grade for a heap leach project, but, it had a 5-year mine life, and that was that. So they said, well, it's too small. And when you really get down there, you get boots on the ground, you talk to the guys, you see the project. I mean, they've got parallel structures that crop right out of the desert. They've done their homework. I mean, these things, it's so amazing. Like that project alone, I remember we went there, and the quartz veins are very resistive to erosion, so they kind of stick out like spines on the out of the landscape. And I mean, I think I showed a picture of that in the article, but so feel free to read that, whoever's listening that wants to check out a little bit more about the story. But basically, in a nutshell, you can really see the veins sticking out of the ground, and they stuck to the patented claims, which was the core sort of claims of their overall ground package. Very small postage stamp overall on what they actually own over there. It's just that it's easier to move patents ahead. It's easier to get them permitted. It's easier to get move things closer towards mining and get things permitted. So they focused on that, and they developed, a small resource on that, and they've moved it ahead to, PFS stage or feasibility stage, and they're ready to go on that stuff. But if you look just to the south of it, there's an equally large trend of exactly the same stuff. Same sort of veining sticking right out of the desert. It's on their property. I mean, so there you go. Is that a double? I don't know. If the grade holds up, and from what, sampling they've done on that stuff, it seems like it's pretty much analogous to what they had on the Moss vein, which is their core stuff on the patents. So and there's all kinds of stuff in between. I mean, this area is just riddled with these little tiny old mines, from a couple hundred years ago, the 1800s and stuff like that. High grade stuff. I mean, that are basically little offshoots to the main sort of vein systems that they're seeing, and they're like these little high angle skinny things. But I mean, hey, you never know. You might be able to make some high grade pockets out of that, some little high grade cherries, and add another couple 100,000 ounces on these things. So to dismiss it as a 300,000 ounce deposit, that's it, that's all, 5-year mine life and whatever, is kind of silly. I mean, now, have they been able to display to the market that they have, this massive upside potential? Well, that's a different story. And I think, I think the management team is going to do that, and they're pushing to do that and show that size potential. So that's something that it's on their list of things to do. But they've done a great job with what they've done. They focused on what they needed to focus on first. And, once you really peel the pedals off of this thing, you really see that, it's a bigger story. There's more there, and it could be a huge project. So, yeah.
Well, much of your background in geology, you spent some time in Africa, in West Africa, and you were mining gold there. You even had your own company, your own gold mine, which is a story for another day. But a couple other stories, and these are companies we're invested in and working with that have defined a substantial resource, kind of in line with Northern Vertex, a little bigger, in fact. Extra Gold, Asante Gold, maybe you can use those examples at different jurisdiction. Just briefly talk on that, what you see the upside potential in something like that. And of course, if you do build up enough ounces, that becomes a potential target for a bigger company to take over, or a nice sized mine to be built.
Yeah, I mean, to speak on some past experiences in terms of the Extra Gold. I'm a director of Extra Gold, so just FYI. So maybe a little biased here, but Extra is a great example. It's a good story. When we were working hard out there, drilling away, Eve, Jim, and the whole team, everybody, working hard, and basically we started that. It was total grassroots bush. And it was, it was found with soil geochemistry. We did a regional VTEM over the whole thing, and really honed in and vectored in on some great targets. And the first couple of targets we checked out ended up being what we spent 90% of our money on. I mean, at the time, there was a big push for let's find ounces, let's define ounces. What's your resource, guys? Let's get us a resource. And and we left a lot of targets untouched. And in the past few years, Eve's done a fabulous job of keeping the trenches going, keeping the guys going, and Jim and stuff. And the things moved ahead substantially. And a lot of these other soil anomalies that were things that we obviously knew were going to be or had a good chance of being something interesting to follow up on and possibly add ounces. We just didn't have the time or the budget to get to them at the time. But over the past few years, those have been, massively developed into some exciting targets. So, Extra Gold's going to come into this with a great plan and really some awesome stuff to drill from day one here. So, the other thing is what's interesting about Extra and small scale mining in West Africa. Extra is a cash flowing company. It has all the G&A and everything's been paid for via mining, and not a lot of junior exploration companies can tote that they have cash flow. So I think everybody's pretty proud of that, and Jim's done a fabulous job of organizing that. Overall, there's projects like that. Those are the ones you want to invest in, I think. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm a director or I'm biased or in any way, which I should maybe disclaimer or something, but I think those are the ones that you want. They've toughed it out. They've really developed the targets. Going back into this with some cash in our jeans and ready to drill it out. The cash flow from the alluvial stuff that's subcontracted out, and we take some residuals on. That's a great little model. It's a good company. It's got huge ground package. This is a completely underexplored greenstone belt in Ghana, and no one's ever found anything there until we came in there, really. And that's one to watch. And you're right there. You're right around all kinds of majors. Newmont's just up the road. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. And another one that just to throw this out there. Another one we're looking at too is Savory Gold. I think that's a great little story. You have Don Dudek up there. Those are the Avion guys that had Hyundai, and they sold that to Endeavour. And just to the south, they've got the whole extension of that belt, tons of targets, tons of stuff. He's been plugging away at that with his team. And they found something before. They sold it to Endeavour just north. They know the rocks. They know the area. They've done their homework. They've found all kinds of stuff down there, and they're going to go at it. So those are the ones that I feel safe and can sleep easy at night if I'm investing in those companies. They have good little targets. If they miss, well, it's too bad, so sad. I guess. But I'd rather bet on that.
Yeah, maybe one good thing to sum the interview up here. Kaminak obviously just got bought out last week, and the Yukon's been an area that's been heating up quite a bit. One company that we've talked about in the past, also disclaimer, we're invested in and working with, is Northern Free Gold. You can't necessarily compare two deposits just because they're in the same area, but that seemed like something that was picked up for the ounces in the ground. And Northern Free Gold's got 2 to 3 million ounces up in Yukon next to infrastructure, road, electricity, and you look at the valuation discrepancy between what Kaminak got picked up for $500 million and a 10 million market cap with similar amount of ounces in the ground. That's pretty interesting to look at. So,
hey, Yukon, that's pretty cool. Yukon never got a lot of love. I think it had a couple years of love, but never saw the same, like the premiums, right? You had Ryan Gold, you had some other things out there that, some more remote discoveries that were really not not given, I guess they never really got the value that they probably should have. And that's, something to do with infrastructure, seasonal mining. There's all kinds of restrictions and kind of things, pitfalls, I guess, to mining up in the Yukon or in remote areas. So, I mean, they're priced in and discounted because of all that stuff. But ultimately, I think this bodes well for the Yukon. There's a lot of great projects, a lot of great geology and stuff that's there. And to see this acquisition, and I think really is a great catalyst for something like Northern Freegold. And that's one that we've identified as a great undervalued target, ounces and everything. But I mean, overall, it's an acquisition in the Yukon is going to help the whole thing. There's a lot of good teams out there that have worked really hard to find projects and been plugging away at this for a while, and they haven't got a lot of love because no one's been interested in the Yukon, and no major companies go there or whatever, and all kinds of stigmas, right? But it's until something like this happens, you never know. And lucky for us, we're in there first, right?
There you go. Well, that's another interview for you. I just wanted to say for any of our audience members listening, Denny and I are currently in Toronto, and our team's always all over Canada and other places. We actually just met up and had some drinks with some listeners from Palisade Radio. Feel free to shoot any of us an email. My email in particular is colin@palisadeglobal.com. Always happy to hear from listeners, and happy to chat and potentially meet up. Denny, thank you so much for coming on the program, and hope to have you back soon.
Yeah, thanks, Colin.
Think you understand the junior mining sector, and you think that the participants in the mining sector, junior mining sector, are good people and kind people, hit the bid.
And the world is always going to need raw materials. It's going to need copper and gold and nickel and so forth.
Totally destabilized. Hey, troll, did you hear what's going on in Yemen? Or are you too stupid?